Boom, 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 boom. Now tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to run. When judgment comes for you. When judgment comes for you. Tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to hide. When judgment comes for you. 'Cause it's gonna come for you.
Nigga, this for water, easy, see something Charlie. Little boo, but God's got him. And I'm gonna miss everybody out of rolling flows like I ain't looked at a while. Like I'm playing for dust and they play too deep for beachside. Little legs I got too deep. Tell me your feature deceased, would it please? Marry me by my grand, when you can go follow
God bless you, working on a plan to
Back on Wrestling Network. Welcome back to the CrosUp, your weekly look back at the week that was in professional wrestling. This week, I'll be running through the results and happenings from Raw on March 9th to Collision on March the 14th, as well as the Revolution pay-per-view. Go ahead and get this out of the way. I did not finish the Revolution pay-per-view because their pay-per-views are just too fucking long, and I could not stay up last night. So I did my best to make it through as much of it. I will still convey the results of the show, but I will not give a best match or anything like that because I only watched about half of it, if I'm being honest. So I may throw it on next week and say what my best match was once I finally watched my way through it. But I just wanted to get out in front that I did not finish the show because I went on vacation this past weekend and I simply ran out of time and ability to stay awake. So, but we are going to open Raw with a recap of Seth Rollins laying out the vision the previous week. Adam Pearce is then in the ring to get things going. Unfortunately, it's time to have a conversation with someone he knows is in this building. So Seth Rollins needs to get out here now. About 20 masked men jump the barricade, with one of them standing on the announcer's table. A bunch of them get in the ring and do this weird, choreographed, dance run around thing to kind of deflect you on who the real one is. Eventually, they all empty out and only one is left. Seth Rollins rips off the mask, and it's obviously him. Pierce says that these people deserve something better. Rollins is only 5 months removed from surgery, and these run-ins will only work for so long. Vision then come out to say that they're here to take out Seth Rollins' goons. Rollins raises his hands, and a bunch of the masked men jump in again, kind of do the crazy, routine where they kind of dance around and run around to, deflect who's the real one and where Rollins really is. Rollins puts his mask back on. And again, they do the kind of confusion run around, and he eventually walks away. LA Knight then comes out and goes after the Vision, but obviously they have the numbers advantage, so they take him down, and then the Usos run in to make the save, and the faces eventually stand tall. We think Jackie Redmond, she catches up with the Usos when they come to the back, says they don't care about Seth Rollins because they have receipts to give out to the rest of the Vision. And she had asked a question about CM Punk and what he had said previously last week. Jay says he has nothing to say to CM Punk after what he said about their family and especially Roman Reigns and his father. But Jimmy thinks that he might have something to say later on tonight. We then get a women's intercontinental title number one contender gauntlet match with Bayley winning that, last eliminating Asuka. And then the other participants in the match were Lyra Valkyria, Io Sky, Raquel Rodriguez, and Ivy Nile. So Bayley, I believe, is going to face, by the time you hear this, she will have faced AJ Lee already, as this is going to drop Tuesday, but she earns a chance to face AJ Lee on the following week's Raw. We then look back at last week's Roman Reigns CM Punk showdown. Like I said, CM Punk delivers the final line where he says he's going to bury Roman next to his father. We then look at earlier today, Maxine Dupree had attacked Natty. We then get Danhausen running into the OG Grande Americano, and he wants to try on his mask. Americano likes Danhausen's idea, but he has no tiempo for this. That earns Americano a curse, and Danhausen then disappears as Americano had looked in the other direction. Americano isn't convinced, but some men follow him in the background, so we'll see what happens with that. We then get what was supposed to be OG Grande Americano versus Penta for the Intercontinental title, but as we have previously discussed in the last segment, he had been cursed, and he gets replaced for unknown reasons, whether he got taken out or hurt. We don't know. We never heard the conclusion to that. We then get Grande Americano 2.0. He is going to be the challenger instead. Penta defeats him via pinfall with the Mexican Destroyer and retains his Intercontinental Championship. Then get a video from Stephanie Vaquer, who talks about how Liv Morgan hides behind a variety of people. Vaquer grew up with nothing, but it made her become what and who she is today. Liv Morgan worked hard to get here, but while Vaquer sees her as a fighter, Morgan sees her as someone talented. Morgan better bring everything at WrestleMania, or she is going to get beat. We then see Liv seething at this video, but Dominic Mysterio comes in saying he needs to talk to Finn Balor, and he's heading to the ring and asks the ladies to join him when he goes out. We come back from commercial break, and Dom comes out with Liv and Raquel. He gets right to the point and says he wants Finn Balor and JD McDonough out here right now. They come out, and Mysterio yells at Balor, who asks if he got it all out, or Balor asks if he got all of his frustration out. Balor says it was his fault that Mysterio lost last week, and he is sorry. He was just trying to help, but sometimes Mysterio has to fight his own battles if he wants to be the best Mysterio ever. The more Balor tries to help, the more he realizes that Ray was right, that Dominic is a spoiled little prick. Dominic Mysterio shoves him and gets, but then Finn pops back up and drops him with a Pele kick. A sling blade takes Dominic down, and he goes to charge up for a shotgun drop kick, but JD McDonough cuts him off and attacks his friend. The team then beat down Balor with Dominic hitting him with the ring bell hammer. And the hammer is loaded into he then loads the hammer into his shoe for a 619. And hits that, and then he follows it with a frog splash, and then he does another frog splash onto a chair, and obviously Balor is left laying by Judgment Day, so he is officially kicked out of Judgment Day, and that will do for his time in that group that he pretty much started. So hell of a run for Finn, but obviously Dom and others have grown tired of his seemingly babyface turn that he's gone over the last few months. So we'll see where that leads. Obviously, I think we're headed towards a Finn-Dom match at WrestleMania, but we will see when we get there. We then get Adam Pearce. He gives Joanne Evans the week off, but Kofi Kingston and Grayson Waller come in. Kingston asks Grayson if he can have a minute with Javon alone. Evans got off, says the two of them got off to the wrong foot. Kingston apologizes because he sees a lot of himself in Javon. Back in the day, Kingston was the new kid with a lot of moves, and he eventually became WWE champion. Evans just needs the right team behind him, so just think about maybe hooking up with New Day. Evans doesn't seem too thrilled about the idea, but he doesn't actually utter the words no. So we'll see if Evans contemplates this a little longer, or if he goes his own way. We then get Bayley. She's happy with her gauntlet match win earlier tonight and thanks Lyra for helping her out. The title match is coming up next week, and Lyra will get the first shot when Bayley becomes champion. We then get the blow off of a few weeks long storyline between Rusev and Obafemi. Obafemi defeats Rusev via pinfall, the fall from Grace powerbomb. And then we get our main event segment where CM Punk comes out, gets a good pop as per usual. He says he wasn't sure how that would go. He hits his usual catchphrases that it's great to be here, great to be alive on a Monday night in Seattle. He brings up the Seahawks just recently being Super Bowl champions. There are some people who aren't happy with what he said to Roman Reigns, but Reigns has never respected CM Punk. The fans chant for Roman for a minute. So Punk says, hold your breath, and he might show up. Reigns may never respect him, but Punk will make Reigns respect the position that Punk holds. The fans deserve a fighting champion, and he levels this place up. The Usos then come out with Jay demanding that Punk apologize right now. Punk asks why Reigns is sending his cousins to do his dirty work. Jimmy says this is about respect, and Punk is the voice of the voiceless. He wants Punk to apologize as well, so Punk says Jimmy is right. If Reigns can hear him, he hopes Roman and the Usos are both listening. They go back a long way because Punk respected Sika and worked under Afa, Sika's brother, obviously, and Roman Reigns' uncle, for things like gas money and advice. That was kind of his first spot in the wrestling business. The family has respected him for years, except for that one son of a gun, son of a bitch, whatever you want to call him. Punk then sees Roman as fake, a lying, narcissistic person. But Jay says this isn't about Roman. Jay says they need Punk to apologize. The fans seem to somewhat agree with the Usos here. Punk thinks about it, and he does say he's sorry. He's sorry that Reigns treated the rest of the family like garbage. Reigns never apologized for how he treated the bloodline and for insulting Dusty Rhodes, who is somebody CM Punk looked up to. Roman isn't on the hook for that, but Punk has to apologize. If Reigns cared at all, he'd be in the ring right now instead of his young boys. This earns a shove from Jay, and Jimmy eventually drops CM Punk with the right hand. The Usos then leave, and Punk is pissed off to end the show. So another good ending segment. Obviously, Punk's kind of on a roll with the promos right now. The buried next to your father dig may have been a touch too far. I mean, he obviously did it for heat. I don't think these guys really like each other in the grand scheme of things, but I do think that they have like a working respect with each other. So I know, obviously, I think obviously deep down Roman doesn't take that super duper personally, and it's just to get heat on the storyline. But it's been really well built so far without much physicality. So I hope they continue to do that really well. But definitely, if Roman can't be there every week, Punk is holding up his end of the bargain. Still not super excited about the match, but they are definitely selling me on the storyline without a doubt. So the gauntlet took up about 50 minutes of the episode of Raw, so there wasn't a ton of just wrestling throughout the show. I didn't think the Americano versus Penta match was too bad, but I would go with the gauntlet match just because you got to see Bayley, Asuka, Io, Lyra, Raquel, and Ivy all kind of participate. And most, if not all of those girls are doing some really good work right now. So I thought pretty much everything, but maybe the Bayley Ivy portion that took up a good chunk was pretty solid because, Io is one of the best workers in the world, and her and Lyra kicking things off was pretty solid way to go. So the women's gauntlet match would be my best for Raw. We then go to NXT. We get a long Vengeance Day recap, kind of reminding us what all happened. Tatum Paxley, fresh off winning the Women's North American title, gets things going for the show. She says for the longest time she felt like she was doing everything wrong, and she kept winding up alone. On Saturday, she won the title because of everybody here being behind her. They made her want to keep going. Now she has the confidence that she belongs here. She won the women's title for the culling, but she won this for the people. Izzy Dame comes in to interrupt, and we see a highlight package of Paxley's failures over the year. Dames calls Paxley painfully fake and a weirdo outcast because this is all just another mask. Eventually, the unlovable girl will come out again, and Dame wants her title back. The culling they come in for distraction, and Dame hits Tatum with the Dame over. We then get Ricky Saints and Ethan Page. They are upset over Vengeance Day, with Saints saying they are both naked now. Neither of them have a championship, which Page hasn't had a championship for a week now. So, but Page doesn't like the visual. They're ready to get a win in tonight's tag team match against the NXT champion and North American champion in Joe Hendry and Miles Bourne. Then it's off to Stand and Deliver to become two-time champions in both divisions. We then get a number one contender speed match, even though it wasn't under speed rules. And I don't technically think they named them number one contenders, but we have a double pin situation where Shawn Legacy and Eli Knight defeat Jasper Troy when Legacy hits a 450 and Knight hits a moonsault, and then they do a double pin. And like I said, we don't get an official announcement, but they coming into the match, it was supposed to be a number one contenders match. So they both might get to face LA LaFleur in a future week. When they get Tatum Paxley, she recruits Shiloh Hill to help her with the culling. Hill grabs a lug wrench and says, "We're ready to go." So, I think they fit together pretty well with their characters. We then get Lexis King and the rest of Team Nepo. They don't like that it's come to this, but Uriah Connor's dad made a call, and they are on their way. We then get Lexis King and Uriah Connors. They defeat Charlie Dempsey and Tavion Heights when Charlie turns on Tavion at the instruction of his father, William Regal, and then Lexis King hits the coronation for the win. So during this match, Fit Finley and William Regal had come out, and we officially have Dempsey as part of the group, and he poses with them after the match is over. So this group is official. We obviously have Brian Pillman's kid. We have Fit Finley's kid. We have William Regal's kid. We have Santino Morella's daughter. And they are going to be going by the name Birthright going forward, which I think is a pretty cool name. A pretty solid group of guys that are kind of, obviously they have fathers or had fathers in the business. I think it could work. They need to be presented strongly. Lexis being the leader doesn't give me a ton of confidence that that'll happen. But I think every person in this group has potential. Stax is obviously also in there by association with Ariana Grace. So I think it has potential, but they need to be pushed heavily and strongly right out the gate. So they definitely don't need to mess around with this group if they want to present them strongly. Or if they want them to be taken seriously, I should say. The Culling then go to leave the arena, but their car is on blocks with Shiloh Hill walking away, holding the lug wrench again. He hands it to Robert Stone, and the Culling are pissed that their car got screwed with. We then get Tony D'Angelo coming out to cut a promo. He says when he returned to NXT, he said he had 2 missions. The first one ended at Vengeance Day when he finished Dark State. They are now what he was before, broken and searching for answers. D'Angelo had buried that version of himself, and now it is time for him to win the NXT Championship. He has no issues with Joe Hendry, but if he has to break Hendry's face, so be it. This is personal because Hendry has what D'Angelo wants. We then go to Sol Ruca and Lola Vice. They praise each other and want to face off for the NXT Women's Championship at Stand and Deliver. Obviously, Sol has an opportunity coming up soon, and Lola, obviously being her buddy and fellow babyface, just wants to have a nice, clean contest with her buddy. We then get Miles Bourne. She asks Ren Sinclair and Kendall Gray if they have seen Joe Hendry. They take Miles over to the refrigerator where they say his name and find, unfortunately, it's not Joe, but a cake. Hendry then pops up from behind Miles, and he and Miles need to talk strategy. Ren then goes to leave, and Kendall is shoveling cake into her face when she kind of gets back over there where she is, and then they walk out together. We then get Sol Ruca defeating Laney Reed via pinfall following a Soul Snatcher. Obviously, Sol and Zarya will face actually, I think that may get announced later, but we're going to have a women's NXT title match next week for between Sol, Zarya, and JC Jane. We then get Elio LaFleur. He talks to Robert Stone about which person is going to get the Speed title shot. Stone isn't sure what to do, and then the Vanity Project come in and interrupt. That's why I said earlier that they didn't really lay it out. They want a big match for Stand and Deliver, but Legacy wants to fight them next. Then get Blake Monroe. She also wants a big match for Stand and Deliver. Tatum Paxley comes in looking for Izzy Dame and leaves, with Monroe saying she wants her women's North American title back, so she has her eyes on Tatum. We then get Ren Sinclair defeating Thea Hale via submission with the final wrench. She becomes the number 1 contender for the women's Speed title, and we'll have a match with Fallon Henley next week for a said championship. We then go to Robert Stone. He talks about the tag team division and how deep it is. We'll be having a tournament to crown new number 1 contenders. Dark State wants their rematch without the tournament, and here is OTM to fight, kind of get into a backstage brawl with them. We then get Fatal Influence. They don't like being reminded about their title matches next week. Ren and Kendall Gray then come up to say that after, obviously Ren's coming for Fallon's title next week, but Kendall wants JC next after the triple threat. We then get the Culling. They are leaving again, and Tatum Paxley jumps Izzy Dame, Security breaks it up, so Robert Stone comes in to make a title rematch between the two next week, and it will be in a steel cage. So we are going to have 3 big women's title matches on this next week's show in Houston. So we will see what happens with that. Speaking of the Houston show, we get Robert Stone afterwards hyping up the Houston show, announces that the tag tournament will start next week as well. But after the mess that happened earlier, OTM and Dark State are not included. The Vanity Project come in to thank Stone for the next week off, but Stone says they don't have the week off, and they will have a 6-man tag team match against Los Americanos, obviously 2.0, Rayo and Bravo. So should be a pretty solid 6-man there. We then get Vic Joseph. He's tossed to standing at the desk, and he says he and Booker T were only supposed to be a team for 3 months, and now they have been a duo at the commentary desk for over 3 years. And then Vic makes the announcement that the fact that they're in Booker T's hometown of Houston next week, that it is going to be Booker T Appreciation Night. So Booker seems kind of surprised by this, but a pretty cool thing to give Booker out there, because as much as he may not be a great commentator, he is a legend, obviously, in the business. We then go to our main event, which is going to be a match of the show for me. It is Ethan Page and Ricky Saints. They defeat Miles Bourne and Joe Hendry when Ethan Page hits a twisted grin onto the NXT Championship on Hendry, and Saints and Page celebrate afterwards, though Saints seems to realize that Page was able to pin Hendry when he was not. And it seems maybe like Ethan wants to be a 2-time champion, but that championship is the NXT Championship and not the North American title. So maybe headed towards a triple threat, maybe just Ethan versus Joe. We'll see. Obviously, they announced that the Stand and Deliver pay-per-view will not take place on WrestleMania weekend and will happen on April 4th instead, which is a couple weeks before WrestleMania. So we'll see what happens on that. I think I'll still present it as a pretty big show, but obviously not being on Mania weekend takes some interest maybe away from it, but it also maybe shines a light on it a little bit, as it's not kind of buried in that early morning time slot on WrestleMania Saturday, where you kind of have to get up for that and then obviously continue and keep the energy going for WrestleMania night 1 later that night. So I think it's a good thing and maybe a bad thing, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, like I said, main event tag match was definitely my match of the night. We'll then go to Dynamite. The Death Riders of Claudio Castagnoli and John Moxley defeat the Don Callis family, represented by Takeshita and Hechicero, when Claudio catches Hechicero with a small package. After the match, the family runs in to beat down the Death Riders, but Takeshita won't use the chair on Moxley. The team isn't happy with him and leave, with Takeshita just signaling that he wants Moxley's championship without attacking. We then get Persephone and Willow Nightingale, who are facing each other tonight. They both kind of compare how hard they hit Mercedes Moné. Obviously, Persephone, or I don't know that a lot of people will know this, but Persephone beat Mercedes Moné for the CMLL Women's Championship, I think the previous weekend. So Mercedes Moné is yet another title down. I think I heard that she also lost maybe one more title. So she's starting to drop titles like flies. So we'll see if she can eventually loses them all, like I kind of think she might, en route to maybe becoming women's world champion in AEW when it's all said and done. We then go to Don Callis. He fires up Kyle Fletcher before he faces Mike Bailey tonight. MJF comes in and wants Fletcher to beat Bailey up, but Fletcher says he's doing it for himself and not him. Kyle Fletcher then beats Mike Bailey via pinfall, following a belt shot and a brainbuster. We then go to Brody King. He squashes some jabroni that they don't even give a name to in less than 30 seconds via pinfall with the Gonzo Bomb. After the match, King walks around the ring, but gets choked by Swerve Strickland, who had been in the crowd, who popped up in the crowd. Swerve chokes him with a chain. King eventually breaks the chain, though, and Swerve has a great oh shit face. And the cannonball sets up the choke from the apron, but Prince Nana comes in for distraction, and Swerve escapes, obviously. Mike Bailey then cuts a promo, says he's ready to win the trios title and is looking forward rather than backward, because obviously he lost earlier, so he's looking forward to success at Revolution. We then get the War Dogs of David Finlay and Gabe Kidd. They defeat Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin when they hit the Dominator and a pile driver back-to-back on Darby. And then after the match, Clark Connors comes in to help with the beatdown, but Roddy Strong walks down. He teases kind of turning and going with the War Dogs, but he eventually helps the good guys, and they all stand tall. So we'll see if Roddy wants to join the conglomeration after all or not. But we then go to our next match. We have Willow Nightingale defeating Persephone via pinfall when she is able to escape a Razor's Edge attempt and get a backslide pin for the win. We then recap Tommaso Ciampa joining FTR to jump Mark Briscoe on Collision this past Saturday. And Mark Briscoe said he was going to team up with the Young Bucks to help him. So we'll get a 6-man for that later on tonight. We then get Willow Nightingale. She wants to defend the tag team titles against Megan Bayne and Lena Cross. But she also challenges Lena Cross to a TBS title match on the 0 hour as well. So double duty for both of those women coming up at Revolution. We then get FTR and Tommaso Ciampa. They defeat Dim Bucks, as they were dubbed tonight, when Ciampa was able to escape a Jay Driller attempt, and he hits his running pump knee to get the pinfall victory. After the match, Ciampa beats on Mark some more, and he even hits a super air raid crash through some open chairs. So maybe writing off Briscoe for a little bit. But I mean, I don't know that officially, but obviously a pretty big, brutal spot to kind of end the segment. We then get a video of MJF versus Hangman Page looking back at their history on the way to Revolution. It's time for the press conference with Page and MJF. It is emceed by Bryan Danielson. Page is asked if this is about the title or revenge, with Page saying it's only about the title. MJF wants the fans to realize that he is a real wrestler and is having to lower himself to this Texas death match that they're going to have on Sunday. He knows Page is all out of bullets and will do anything to win at Revolution, and it's not going to be enough. Page is asked about his history in Texas death matches, specifically in California, and he promises that he will win this one. Finally, Page is asked who he is if he loses and can't challenge for the world title again. It doesn't matter, as Page says he will win, so it won't matter. MJF gets some beers and toasts Page, triggering a brawl that goes into the arena. Security is taken out, so Page pulls out a barbed wire board, but can't hit the Deadeye, and MJF bails when escaping that move and runs away to end the show. No shock here, but Fletcher versus Bailey, two guys that I absolutely love. Love their styles and I love the way they work in the ring. Absolutely best match from the show. The 6-man was also very good as well. But anytime Fletcher gets in the ring, it's probably going to be my match of the night unless he's in there with a slug. But we'll move from there to Impact. The Hardys open the show defeating Sinner and Saint when Jeff gets a rare submission victory. He makes Judas Icarus tap to the spinal destination, which is his version of a full Nelson. After the match, Jeff gives Travis Williams a swanton, which was kind of out of nowhere, and then they randomly shake hands with the two after the match too. So it was super weird. We then get the Elegance brand. They yell at ODB and yell about ODB and Mickey James, but this team is more interested in Mr. Elegance debuting next week. We then get friend of the program, Goldilocks, former TNA backstage interviewer, of course. She comes in to yell at the Elegance brand, and then Mr. Elegance has a quick quippy line of, "Weren't you working here when I was like 4 years old?" So that was a pretty good line. But yeah, obviously I previously interviewed Goldilocks on Highway to the Impact Zone on the Place to Be Nation, back when it was on the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed. So cool to see her pop up. obviously they're having all these former knockouts kind of come in and shit on them. So I doubt Goldilocks gets in the ring, but we may have another, classic knockout come in and have like a six person tag at Sacrifice. That's the show that's coming up in New Orleans. So, which I will be in attendance for. So we'll see how that goes. We then get Indy Hartwell defeating Kelsey Heather via pinfall following the Hertz Donut. After the match, Hartwell says she wants the Knockouts title because the reigning champ doesn't deserve it. She wants her shot. So here's Ariana Grace and Stax to interrupt. Grace tells her to get in line, with Hartwell saying she didn't get a title. She didn't get a title handed to her, so she's coming for the belt on Grace's shoulders. We then get the Hardy. They thank the Righteous for what they did for them last week. The Righteous liking what the Hardys did to Sinner and Saint. Vincent says the system is coming for the titles, and the Righteous will be there for them. The Nimitz then come in, but the Righteous don't like them coming in to interrupt. Nick reminds them that they pinned Jeff previously and are coming for the titles as well. And then Ryan and Nick laugh as they leave. We then get Trey Miguel, BDE, and Rich Swann. They defeat Order 4 of John Schuyler, Mustafa Ali, and Jason Hotch when Miguel hit the lightning spiral on Schuyler. We then get Mike Santana in the back. He finds Daria Ray, who says if Santana touches Steve Macklin, he is stripped of the title. Santino Marella comes in to say if Macklin touches Santana, he is officially out of TNA and won't get the title shot at Sacrifice. Macklin comes in and has a stare down with Santana and then makes his way to the ring. Ariana Grace isn't happy with everyone coming after her title. Stax calms her down, and they sneak up on Indy Hartwell with Grace hitting her in the knee with the belt. Santino Marella then shows up and yells at two of them. We then go to Steve Macklin. He comes out to the ring. Macklin is glad to be back here, and it feels like he never left. He is required to apologize, so he has a prepared statement. First up, he thanks Daria Ray, who is a far better authority figure than Santino Marella. He says, as for Tom Hannafin, it's a shame that their friendship ended this way, but it's because Hannafin can't take a punch to the gut. Mike Santana is then shown watching from the crowd as Macklin says he lost the world title due to backstage politics. Maybe Macklin should start playing meetings at the VA or playing voicemails from his dad so people will feel sorry for him too. He's met death before and knows what it is, which is part of how he's playing Santana so easily. Mayhem is for everyone, and that includes Santana. We then go to AJ Francis. He defeats Elijah via pinfall when Kaz comes out and causes a distraction, and Francis hits the down payment for the win. Kazarian then jumps Elijah after the match, but Hometown Man comes out to help with a pipe and runs off the heels. We then get Eric Young. He is glad that Leon Slater is injured and wants his X Division title shot at Sacrifice. So cashing in his Feast or Fire briefcase. We then go to Swingers Palace. So I don't know if I missed this previously or something like that, but they seem to be doing the Impact House or whatever it was called back in the day, where they kind of had this little side universe. They did it during the pandemic, so it was kind of a kooky way to, just get some more characters on screen and kind of not have them be in the ring, and they could kind of shoot it like a reality show. But they go to Swingers Palace. Rosemary was a big part of it. Johnny Swinger ended up being a big part of it for some reason too. But Johnny Swinger thinks she's Sherry Martel and Papa Shango. As JDC shows up and says he's enjoying retirement and kind of laughs at Sinner and Saint losing their money as well as their match earlier tonight. Rosemary makes a deal to keep the place open forever. And Allie, who had previously been in Impact as well as AEW, seems to be back. And Rosemary is kind of taken off guard by this and just says, oh boy. So we had this back in the day, like I said, during the pandemic. I think it was called Impact House or something like that. But if they kind of reinstitute this idea, I don't think it's the worst idea. It was a pretty entertaining situation. It got some people, kind of their first big spots and kind of showed different sides of their characters. But it was, it kind of existed in a whole nother universe. It kind of came to the Impact Zone when Johnny Bravo and Rosemary almost got married, but obviously that led to that whole situation. But if it's something they're going to do, I don't think it's the worst idea. We then go to Ricky Sosa making his debut. I haven't heard much about him, but apparently he's a huge star on the independent scene. So he is now signed with TNA, and he defeats Brad Attitude via pinfall, following a Blue Thunder Bomb. So pretty decisive and succinct debut for him. So we'll see what he can do in the future. And then we get our main event street fight where Moose defeats Cedric Alexander via pinfall when he hits a spear through the table. As far as best match for Impact, for me, I would go with the 6-man with Order 4 and the and Miguel, BD, and Swan on the other side. Ali's another one of those guys. If he's in a match, odds are, if he's a big part of it, it's probably going to be a really solid match. So I did enjoy the street fight as well, but I would go with the 6-man. It's my best match. We then go to SmackDown. Nick Aldis is looking over the contract for the WrestleMania title match, but Drew McIntyre storms into the arena, demands that Aldis come out here and make things right. Aldis says there is nothing to correct because McIntyre should be looking at the consequences of his actions. McIntyre calls out Aldis a corporate stooge who had to get the title back on his corporate champion. Aldis isn't having any of that. It says it's clear that why McIntyre didn't want Rhodes to get a shot. First time he did, he won the championship back. They go face to face, but here is Jacob Fatu to interrupt. Fatu asks what McIntyre needed fixed and says he's the reason McIntyre was champion in the first place. Last week, Fatu fixed the situation, so McIntyre is no longer champion. McIntyre can point all the fingers he wants, but Fatu is the one who did it. So what is McIntyre going to do about it? McIntyre simply quips back and says, I quit, and he walks away. We then get Solo Sikoa. He is happy with how things are going and leaves the lantern with Tama Tonga while he goes off for a tag match. The team leaves, but Shinsuke Nakamura comes in to ask Tama when he'll be his own man. Sikoa then comes back and threatens Shinsuke before leaving again. We then get Jacob Fatu. He is mad about Drew McIntyre quitting. Then Trick Williams comes in saying he's the only person who can whoop that trick. Nick Aldis makes Trick versus Fatu for later tonight, and Trick panics and obviously doesn't want the match. But Aldis says he can get out. He can be fired as well, and he can join McIntyre on the unemployment line. So Trick says he'll do it. We then get the Wyatt Six of Rowan and Howdy. They defeat the MFTs of Tala and Solo Sikoa when Howdy hits Solo with the Sister Abigail after Nikki Cross had provided a distraction. After the match, Howdy gets the lantern back, but Tama Tonga runs in for a cutthroat driver to steal it back once again. We then get R-Truth in the back. He thinks that the MFTs are the Judgment Day, but Damian Priest says it's about the titles and not about who has them. Los Garza comes in to say they're the reason R-Truth and Priest won last week, and Priest says they can prove that tonight, and they'll fight Los Garzas later on. We then get Kiana James and Julia. They laugh off the idea of Tiffany Stratton coming for Julia's women's U.S. title. Jade Cargill then defeats Michin via pinfall following Jaded. After the match, Cargill says she isn't scared of Rhea Ripley and that she's not going to start being scared of her today. She'll show why she's always on top, but then Rhea comes out to interrupt. Cargill then kind of runs off as Rhea comes towards the ring, and Rhea then says she's going to make Cargill her bitch at WrestleMania. We then get Cody Rhodes. He tells Nick Aldis that the contract is fine when Sami Zayn comes in to congratulate him. He hopes Cody wins at WrestleMania. Rhodes doesn't want this to be a thing, and he knows Zayn said the same thing to Randy last week. If Zayn just wants a title shot, that's not hard to get, but Zayn says he doesn't look up to Cody like he does Randy. Rhodes he says he looks at him more as a friend and an equal. Rhodes then says that's fine and points at the title before leaving. Aleister Black and Selena then come in to suggest that the title picture might not be the right place for Sammy right now. Sammy then says, stay far, far away from me going forward. Rhea Ripley and BFAB then console Michin in the trainer's room, but Michin doesn't want their pity. We then have the Bellas show up before our next match and imply that they're looking to challenge whoever wins the tag team title match that's up next. We then get that match, and the Irresistible Forces versus Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss ends in a no contest when the Bellas jump in and attack both of them. After the match, the Irresistible Forces are able to use their size advantage and lay both teams out. We then get Jelly Roll. He congratulates Randy Orton for becoming number one contender. And then Randy tells Jelly Roll to beat up The Miz on Miz TV. We then get Charlotte and Alexa. They run into the Bellas backstage, and apparently the Bellas have the next title shot for against the Irresistible Forces. So we'll see when and if the Bellas get that shot. We then get Damian Priest and R-Truth. They defeat Los Garzas when they hit the AA and the South of Heaven in stereo and do the double pin. We then get Alex Shelley and Candice LeRae. They try to wake up Johnny Gargano from his haze with LeRae and Gargano eventually wheeling away. Chris Sabin comes in to ask why Shelley is still trying to help Johnny, who obviously has screwed them in the past. And Sabin says he got him and Shelley a match for next week. We then get Danhausen. He has a shirt for The Miz. Who can't believe that Danhausen already has a shirt when obviously it took Miz a while to get one of his own. He can't. He says he can even wear the Danhausen shirt on Miz TV when he talks to Jelly Jam. We then have Danhausen. Then Danhausen can have his own show with his own celebrity guests. Miz says he isn't doing that, so he is cursed. We then get Miz TV, but the mic doesn't seem to work, so. Obviously, maybe that's part of the curse. He gets a new mic. He brings out Jelly Roll to be his guest. Jelly Roll is here because of the road to WrestleMania, and Miz is happy to have him. Miz suggests he mentor Jelly Roll, but that isn't going to happen. Miz brings up the time that Jelly Roll did something at SummerSlam where he was so heavy that Miz had to help him back up to his feet. Jelly Roll can't believe Miz is taking credit for him losing 250 pounds because he is the one who was doing the work. Miz says he liked him better when he was fat. They start to seemingly get into each other's face for maybe a brawl to happen. Kit Wilson comes out and interrupts. Wilson talks about Jelly Roll's face tattoos and criminal history and accuses him of being fatphobic. Jelly Roll is toxic, so he and Miz try to deck Wilson only for Jelly Roll to hit Miz. Jelly Roll tries to deck Wilson only for him to duck, and he hits Miz by mistake. So maybe Jelly Roll gets involved in WrestleMania somehow, and it ends up being in some kind of match with maybe Kit Wilson and The Miz. But we will see going forward. We then go to Apollo Crews and Ilya Dragunov. They appreciate when Carmelo Hayes comes in. Carmelo Hayes understands that Dragunov, what he said last week about not wanting the open challenge, but Dragunov says this is only the only way he knows. Hayes then thinks there might be another reason they aren't fighting, and Dragunov isn't happy because I think he's trying to imply that he knows he can't beat him. We then get Tiffany Stratton. After shoving Chelsea Green's wheelchair away, promises to take out Kiana James and then come for Julia's U.S. title. We then get Kit Wilson yelling at The Miz and is ready to get a match. Danhausen then comes in to offer Miz some teeth if he's lost one. But there is one thing that he deserves, one thing he has to do to reverse the curse. Miz insists that there is no curse, and then Danhausen disappears. We then get Tiffany Stratton. She defeats Kiana James via pinfall following a prettiest moonsault ever. We then get informed next week Kit Wilson will call out Jelly Roll. So, again, maybe implying that we may see a Kit Wilson tag match or match with Jelly Roll at some point. We'll see. Trick Williams isn't happy about facing Jacob Fatu, but Sami Zayn comes in to complain that Trick is jumping into the main event, and he hasn't been here very long. Trick Williams then defeats Jacob Fatu after some interference with from Drew McIntyre, who came back into the building, and then Trick gets 2 trick shots to knock Jacob out. After the match, McIntyre hops in the ring and hits Fatu with the Claymore. We then get Nick Aldis. He's in the ring for the Cody Rhodes Randy Orton contract signing. But first, Drew McIntyre apparently didn't quit, so he can face Jacob Fatu next week. Anyways, here's Randy Orton in a darker shirt than he's been wearing lately. Obviously, he's been wearing the bright blue RKO Everyone shirt. He has a darker black RKO Everyone shirt on this week. Him and Rhodes go face to face. They shake hands. Rhodes talks about his history with Orton and how things have gone well. Rhodes wanted to be like Randy Orton and left only to come back on his own. He's not Orton's brother, but he has always been proud to be his boy and friend. Cody signs and Orton goes to as well, but doesn't quite do it at first. Orton says he needs the title, and this was supposed to be easy with Drew McIntyre being across from him. Rhodes is fine with that because he wants Orton with the voices in his head and the legend killer. After the match is over, Rhodes will always love him. Orton then signs with Rhodes clapping, and then Orton kicks him low. He really beats him down. He hits him in the head with the steps to bust him open. Rhodes is beaten onto the announcer's table, and Jelly Roll comes over the barricade only for Orton to shove him down. Cody then, the head is laid kind of on the part of the steps where it's up against the ring. He's kind of laid there, and then Orton crushes his head with the chair before sitting in the ring with the title over his lap to kind of get things going. This match probably needed this. One of them needed to be heel going into this. Orton obviously has been a great heel in the past, and it's not hard to turn him because he obviously has that little psychotic part of him with the voices in his head, and he's not all that likable in the first place, I guess. So he's kind of easy to turn whenever you need to. Some people may want Cody to be a heel at some point in the future, but obviously Orton was probably the easier to turn here. So apparently every year we're going to get a Ruthless Aggression star beat the absolute crap out of Cody and be his WrestleMania opponent for the WWE Championship. So we'll see who it is next year. Maybe Big Dave will come back and be next year's opponent. We then get, that was the end of SmackDown. My best match for SmackDown was Trick versus Jacob. I thought it was a really solid match. And again, a night full of, a lot of talking segments, not a ton of in-ring action. So that one probably kind of won by default. So, but it was a solid match. It wasn't anything terrible or anything like that. We then go to Collision before we wrap up with Revolution. Kevin Knight defeated El Clone in the opener via pinfall with the UFO splash. We then get video of the trios title match that's going to happen at Revolution. It's obviously going to be the Don Callis family, who are the champions, taking on two of the former champions, Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey. But their partner this time is going to be Mystico. We then get the Babes of Wrath. They are ready to retain their championships at Revolution against Cross and Bane. We then get Mark Davis. He defeats Commander via pinfall following a pile driver. We then get the War Dogs. They are ready to hurt Roderick Strong, as well as, again, hurt Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin. We then get video on Mascara Dorado, who is going to face Andrade in tonight's main event. We then hear from various superstars in the national title battle royal that's going to happen on the 0 hour of Revolution as well. We then get the Triangle of Madness in a squash match. They defeat Tatovic via Viva Van and Charisma when Tekla spears Tatovic. After the match, Tekla rants about how she is tired of hearing about Chris Statlander. She is tired of Statlander making challenges and running away. So here is Statlander to take out the entire triangle. Tekla gets dropped, and Statlander takes off her own belt, telling Tekla to beat her with it. This proves to be a bad idea as Statlander quickly gets beaten down, gets up with welts on her back. Instead, Tekla hammers away on her and throws in some spit. She spits in her face. Tekla leaves, and Statlander gets up saying Tekla should be afraid of what Tekla will have to do to keep her down on Sunday. We then get Marina Shafir. She tells Toni Storm that she is getting into a level of violence that she doesn't quite understand, so Tony's not ready for Marina. But then at the Demand, they defeat the Bang Bang Gang when Ricochet hits the Spirit Gun on Austin Gunn. After the match, the gang get beaten down by the Demand, and Ricochet promises to retain his national championship in the Battle Royal. Jack Perry then stabs a board and says he wants to win the national title in the building where he used to watch wrestling as a kid. Obviously, Staples Center used to be the Crypto, or it used to be the Staples Center, is now the Crypto.com Arena, I think is what it's called. We then get Toni Storm. She is laid somewhere on a blanket and talks about knowing what the circus is like around here. At Revolution, Marina Shafir finds out that she is just a performer in her final act. We then get Lena Cross. She defeats Mina Shirakawa via pinfall following a jackhammer. We get another video of MJF versus Hangman Page, kind of hyping up that one last time. And then we get Andrade defeating Mascara Dorado via pinfall following the DM. After the match, Bandito comes in for a stare down, but the Don Callis family jump him. Brody King makes a save, but he also gets jumped by Swerve. Bandito and Brody then fight back and clear out the Don Callis family and Swerve to end the show. They usually feature these luchadors on Collision, and usually they have some really good matches on Collision. So Andrade versus Dorado would most assuredly be my best match for Collision. Seemed like a pretty succinct show. Not a ton happened, but just really was kind of a prep show for Revolution that happened the next night. And we will start things out on Revolution. Like I said, I only made it to about match 4, I think, before I could not stay awake anymore last night because, again, their shows just go a tad too long for me on a night before I have to go back to work. So, and like I said, I was also coming back from a vacation, so it was not super easy for me to stay awake last night. We open with FTR defeating the Young Bucks. They retain their tag team titles. They end things with a super shatter machine. So Dax is kind of on the top rope, chucks Matt into the sky, and obviously Cash catches him with kind of the code breaker or whatever you want to call it, what that part of the move or whatever you want to call it. After the match, FTR celebrates. We see something pop up on the screen, and it ends up being Adam Copeland. He is back, and Christian Cage also comes out. They come in and they attack FTR. The kill switch is hit on Dax Harwood, and then he also hits one on Stokely. And then they pose with the tag team titles to end the segment. The Bucks kind of stop and stare at Edge, not Edge and Christian, but Cope and Cage here to end the segment. So maybe a 3-way, but I would kind of hope we get that FTR versus CNC, I guess is what I'll call them, instead of ENC like they used to be. We then get our next match. Toni Storm defeats Marina Shafir via pinfall with a small package. After the match, Storm goes to leave, but Ronda Rousey, of all people, comes and pops up in the ring, invites Toni Storm back to the ring. They kind of get in each other's face. Security quickly breaks it up, but Shafir comes out from behind and knocks Toni Storm out while she's sitting on the top rope, and then Rousey and Shafir leave through the crowd. So obviously things didn't end too well for Rousey in WWE. I can't say I'm super excited that she showed up here, but we'll see what they do with her and Shafir. We then get Jon Moxley. He defeats Konosuke Takeshita via submission with a rear naked choke. After the match, Moxley offers some respect. Takeshita doesn't seem too keen on it at first, but eventually shakes his hand. Moxley goes to leave, but the lights go out again, and this time it's Will Ospreay. Huge surprise. Moxley comes back to ringside with Ospreay going after him and decking him. The Death Riders come in, but they're kind of cut off, and Moxley eventually escapes. So, Will already being back from the neck injury is pretty incredible. I don't anticipate him wrestling too much to kind of start off with. I think they'll kind of ease him into it. Obviously, they want to get him back for their big summer shows, so we'll see when and if he gets in the ring for the first time. But I imagine he's back, but he might just be a promo guy for a little bit. We then get the Divine Dominion, which is what they are calling Lena Cross and Megan Bayne. They defeat the Babes of Wrath when they hit the double choke slam, and they are your new women's tag team champions. We then get the match between Swerve Strickland and Brody King. Swerve Strickland defeats him via pinfall following 3 straight house calls. After the match, Swerve loads up the cinder block, but Kenny Omega comes back and makes his return, which he couldn't be at the show because he was at a video game convention, but now he's back. So I really don't understand why they just couldn't have that match that they had a couple weeks ago on this pay-per-view if he was going to show up anyways. But Kenny Omega's back, obviously going to continue the thing with Swerve Strickland going forward. We then get Tekla. She defeats Chris Stanlander via pinfall, falling a spear and 2 stomps. We then get our trios title match. Mystico and Jet Speed defeat the Don Callis family of Kyle Fletcher, Kazuchika Okada, and Mark Davis when Kevin Knight hits the UFO splash on Davis. And Mystico and Jet Speed are your new trios champions, and Mystico is officially announced as a full-time member of the AEW roster, even though I felt kind of positive that he kind of was already. But obviously, he is now the CMLL Trios Champions and the AEW Trios Champions. So that's a pretty interesting situation there. We then get Andrade El Idolo. He defeats Bandito via pinfall when he hits the DM from the middle rope. We then get Roddy Strong, Darby Allin, and Orange Cassidy. They defeat the War Dogs when Roddy hits the end of Heartache on Clark Connors. And then we get our main event where MJF defeats Hangman Page via ref stoppage when MJF has Hangman hung over the top rope by a dog collar, and Page passes out without submitting. So you can call it technical submission, ref stoppage, whatever you want to call it. But it was a long match. They beat the absolute mess out of each other from what I saw, and Page passes out, and he will never be able to challenge for the AEW World title. So we'll see if that blows up in his face as much as it did Cody's back in the day, or if Hangman's maybe wanting to go to some other pastures. We'll see. It seemed like a booking mistake last time when they did it with Cody, and obviously Cody ended up in WWE. I don't anticipate Hangman's going to do that, but obviously he can no longer challenge for the world title. I don't know if they'll find a workaround eventually to get him back into it, where it's undeniable or something like that, where he wins the Owen, or somewhere down the line he gets another shot. But MJF defeats him here and is still champion. Like I said, I did not finish the show. I think I made it through the women's tag team title match. I think I saw the end of that. That was about the time that I passed out last night. So I will watch the rest of it. Like I said, I may report back next week with what I thought was the best match on the show. But thank you for joining me as always. We'll see you next week.
Crowd is here, about to blow.